Okay, so interviewing clients. So most of you, anyways, when you enter the profession, will begin the process of interviewing new clients, potential clients, maybe a client who's been around a while that has a new case. And there's a real skill to interviewing a client, and I have some thoughts on that. So a couple of things. First of all, and we've talked about this in other videos, and it's something I harp on, but being prepared for the interview. And that means a couple of things. First of all, I presume that you're interviewing a client for a matter that you have some expertise in. And you have already prepared yourself for just about all of the questions that are going to come up in the interview. Also, to have some idea of the particular facts of the client that you're going to be interviewing. One of the things that clients pick up on is the fact that the lawyer either knows what they're talking about or doesn't. You really can't hide that. When talking to someone who is just sort of guessing about the answers, that's something that comes through loud and clear. But someone who's very familiar with the area speaks with a certain degree of authority. Not arrogance, authority. And that really telegraphs to the client, and it makes them feel very comfortable, and it makes them much more likely that they're going to retain you. So if you followed my previous advice that you're practicing in a particular area, it's a huge advantage when trying to convince a client that you are the best lawyer for their particular problem. Second, you can be professional and at the same time personal. Now, most people who have not used a lawyer before have a lot of misconceptions about lawyers. They kind of look up to lawyers. Sometimes they're very intimidated by the whole process, coming in the lawyer's office, meeting with the lawyer. I've experienced this hundreds and hundreds of times. And one of the things that I like to do is try to bring that person to a more calm place. Have them relax. Talk to them as a person. It doesn't mean you don't have to be a professional. You can do both. There's really a fine line there. And what that does is it relaxes the client so that they're better able to discuss the facts of the case with you. That was one of the things I used to, when I was interviewing lots of clients, I would sometimes watch them almost grab the chair, nervous. By the end of the conversation, they're relaxed, they're sitting back, they feel more comfortable to you. Again, that increases the likelihood that they're going to retain you. People don't like to hire people that they're intimidated by, or maybe they feel you're talking down to them. The third thing I would say is listen more than you speak. Lawyers love to hear themselves talk. I admit that. Try to not do that in the interview. Yes, you are going to have to explain, you are going to have to tell them what the law is and how it applies to their case and the chances of success, etc. But there's a real skill in listening to the client, because you're going to miss facts, maybe pertinent facts, maybe dispositive facts, if you just keep talking all the time. 4, take copious notes. When you sit down with that client, you are getting a barrage of information, and if it's a new case, you're not entirely sure what's important, what isn't important. You're not going to remember from the conversation. You need to take great notes, or maybe you want to record it, or maybe you want to have your assistant take notes as you speak. And what I do, and I think this is a good idea, after the interview, while all those facts are fresh in your mind, from your notes, dictate a memorandum to the file of all the facts. Let me tell you, in a month or two after you pick up that file and you're like, what is this file about? To have that memo there, it's extremely helpful. 5th, third parties and the issue of confidentiality. The lawyer-client privilege and the confidentiality that's bestowed upon that relationship can be waived if there's a third party in the conversation. So a lot of times people will come in with someone who is not going to be the client, maybe a relative, a friend. Sometimes they'll say it's for moral support. What you want to say is, I really appreciate that and I would love to have you here, But if you're part of this conversation, the confidentiality that we enjoy between client and attorney may be waived, and other people may be able to learn of this conversation because we had a third party involved. So try not to have third parties involved in the conversation. So those are some of the tips that I think would be helpful for you when interviewing your clients.